Hello out there, everyone. Thank you so much once again for tuning in. My name is Tom with Mountainside Church of Christ, and we're just here to give another installment of encouraging thoughts and hopefully give you all uh, something that will bless you throughout this week so that you can be a blessing to others. I think so often we live our lives as trying to just receive as many blessings as we can, but I think it's more important for us to choose to bless others, and so that's why we do these videos, is because we want to be a blessing to so many of you. Today was an awesome day. I love memorial services. It may sound odd, being uh, being in this position of a minister. I've attended more funerals, memorial services than I had ever attended before, and I truly love it. I love being there to comfort people in their most difficult hours. I love being there to even if we can't physically touch, or even if we can't embrace like we once did. It's so good just to be there with someone else. And I think about Frank on a day like today, and I can't imagine the emotional roller coaster that he's going on a day like today. But it was a blessing to be there for the memorial service of Maria. I hope and pray that you all reach out to Frank to let him know how much you care for him in the upcoming days and weeks and months, because that's what a body of believers is supposed to do. That is what God has designed for the church, for us to be there for each other, not just to remember the life, but to recall the hope, the promises for the future. So powerful. When I think about memorial services, when I think about these kind of difficult moments in our lives, it's obviously, as Christians, we are mixed with two emotions: joy and sorrow. Joy for a life lived, in a life that will continue to be lived, and then sorrow for having to say goodbye to this temporary shell, this temporary residence, this tent that we embody. And so we are conflicted at times like this. A couple weeks ago, the elders and I, we went over to the Ulibarriers just to pray with them. Times had uh, grown difficult for Maria, and so we wanted to be an encouragement during during their last weeks on this earth, and pray a blessing of comfort over them. And so uh, we went over there, and even in all of this, and this is what makes being a minister and blessing others so great. And I encourage you all to try to take part in this, because we're all ministers. We're all here to minister to each other. Uh, but we go over there, and Maria musters up the courage and the strength to share her life with us. And one of the stories she told was how difficult her life was. I mean, here's an individual who was born in 1932, so you can just imagine the things that she has seen. She grew up in northern New Mexico, a very humble existence. The house that she lived in didn't have running water, and so she would have to go and get the water daily. She told us how her mother passed away when she was 12 years old, and that left her as the sole girl in her household. And you could imagine the emotional turmoil that would take on a young person. But those things did not define Maria. Yes, she was a tough individual. Yes, she lived an extraordinarily difficult life. But what defined Maria was what I heard today about her family members saying how she exuded Christ in all that she did, how she echoed the Lord's Prayer time and time again, uh, reminding herself and others of God's preeminence in her life. And when I hear that, it reminds me of the Sermon on the Plain that we see recorded in Luke chapter 12. I'm going to go ahead and read that passage. Jesus said to his disciples, Therefore, I tell you, do not be anxious about your life, what you will eat, or about your body, what you will put on. For life is more than food, and the body more than clothing. Consider the ravens. They neither sow nor reap, they neither have storehouse nor barn, and yet God feeds them. Oh, how much more valuable are you than the birds? And which of you, being anxious, can add a single hour to his span of life? If then you are not able to do as small a thing as that, why are you anxious about the rest? Consider the lilies, how they grow. They neither toil nor spin. Yet I tell you, even Solomon in all of his glory was not arrayed like one of these. But if God so clothes the grass, which is alive in the field today and tomorrow is thrown into the oven, how much more will he clothe you, O you of little faith? And do not seek what you are to eat and what you are to drink, nor be worried. For all the nations of the world seek after these things, and your Father knows that you need them. Instead, seek his kingdom, and these things will be added to you. Fear not, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. Jesus begins this passage with this simple thought: don't be worried, don't be anxious. Not about living, not about the clothes, the food that you eat, the things you can consume. Don't even be anxious about the hour that you cannot add to your life. I think about a time like this in our current society and how many people are worried about adding one single hour to their life, one single moment left on this earth. If there's ever been a time that we should champion Jesus' words, it is now. Don't be worried about the hour of your life. Don't be worried about that 60 minutes of time span. You can't even affect that. Maria didn't worry about that. So many people that we have said goodbye to this year did not worry about that. They instead sought first God's kingdom. They were more concerned about God's kingdom and all that they said and did. So that's my question for you all today. You worried about the hours left in your life? Or are you concerned about God's kingdom? And what are you doing for God's kingdom? Are you calling people? Are you reaching out? Are you comforting those who need comforted? Are you letting others know that there is a God who's in control? Because that's what we should be doing. We do a lot for ourselves in our society. We're very concerned about status and lives. But is that what we should be worried about? Is that what Jesus was worried about? What is our goal? Are we seeking first his kingdom? Are we choosing to expand in God's kingdom? Because as Jesus says, it's God's good pleasure to give us the kingdom. Is it our pleasure to grab hold of it and to share it with others? Thank you, and God bless.